Hello, everybody. This is Sam with Korean Association, and welcome to Business Briefs. And Business Briefs are our short live interviews with business owners and different local businesses in our area. And we do this as part of, because we're a partner with SBRN, which is part of the Washington State Department of Commerce, and SBRN stands for Small Business Resiliency Network. And so we really just do these interviews so that you, the consumer, know who you're doing business with, and also we can empower you also to be a small business owner too. And so today we're very pleased to have with us Michael Chong. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Yeah. Michael is the VP of the First Security Bank, and we'll let Michael talk more about his background and how First Security Bank is helping members in our community today. But very quickly, this is not an endorsement, but rather just to get to know Michael, his background, and learn from there. So, Michael, welcome again, and maybe perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about your personal background and how you got into First Security Bank.
Absolutely. Sam,
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
I've been a banker for about 11, 12 years. Started my career as a teller. Didn't really like it, but I kept going, worked my way through management. I'm currently housed out of the Capitol Hill office for Security Bank. We're a community Washington-based bank. Our headquarters is in Mount Lake Terrace. So part of the reason I think Sam wanted to invite me over was because we embody what a community bank is. The difference between us and a larger bank is you have a point of contact. You have someone that you can get a hold of. Many of my clients call me directly if they need anything. Additionally, we do try to give back to the community, not just in volunteer hours, but through donations. We also do lending for low to moderate income serving businesses. I personally have a passion for small businesses as well as nonprofits. I serve on 2 nonprofit boards as a board member. And part of why I do it is because I feel a lot of these businesses don't have access to some of these financial tools. If you don't have a good banker on your board, you may have people from other expertise lines, but being a banker is very specific to make sure that we're watching out for the organizations.
Got it. Thank you for that. And I wanted to go back a little bit. So your professional background, you mentioned that you started out as a banker and then you kind of stayed within banking and then just kind of worked your way up. So I was curious, like when you're kind of starting out in a new industry, for those who are, kind of still looking at their career and what's ahead of them, but you decided to stay because you probably had a lot of options in front of you. You decided to stay and then kind of move up the ladder, so to speak, in banking. And so what was the impetus for that decision? Why did you choose that route? Yeah.
So Sam, I love that you have a lot of confidence in me. You think much highly of me than I really am.
I do this with everybody.
Good. Well, so if I'm being real, I started as a teller. So I didn't really like it. I went into retail. I went and worked my way through management there. I had the opportunity to come back to banking, actually. Even with my only teller experience, one of the banks trusted me to be a manager, and I said, absolutely. Once I got into it, the larger banks, it taught me how to run transactions, manage lines, manage teams. I had up to 14 employees at that time. So it was one type of management. I was young, learning. I went to a different bank, smaller setting. That's when I learned how to do underwriting, look for loans, how to talk about small business products, and just kind of understand that it's a relationship-based business. And so I ended up at this bank because I love building rapport with my clients. I want to get to know them. I want to know what makes them tick. My favorite part about working with small businesses is there's so many different ones. Same thing with nonprofits. So many nonprofits, they specialize in a specific cause. Whether or not I know a lot about them, I love to see the passion and I want to learn what drives them and then find out how I can support them in turn.
So it sounds like you really enjoy what you do because you have a personal interest
Absolutely.
in that as well. So as a banker, when you talk, you see all kinds of folks and all kinds of people, and I'm sure you hear a lot of positive things that have happened to them financially, but also maybe some of the negative things. And so what I'm curious to know is, because you take a personal interest in this, what are maybe some of the things that you learned being in banking all these years, that what's most important for the consumer?
Yeah. I think that's a good question, Sam. There's a lot of things that I could go to, but I think the most important thing is to know your banker and don't be afraid to ask questions. We all hear the adage, there's no dumb questions. And really there isn't, because my favorite interactions are usually with either younger people or older people, because young people will come and they'll be flustered or embarrassed at first about like, oh, I don't understand how a checking account works. I don't know how to write a check. And I tell them, that's okay. Like, if nobody taught you, how the heck would you know? And that immediately brings their guard down. And they're like, oh, okay, so I'm free to ask questions here. Some of that has actually led me to do a financial literacy class for one of my nonprofits. We do it through the NAACP, and it's specifically for people that are trying to get out of poverty to take the next step, and maybe don't have the means or didn't have the means back then to learn about how financial services work. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. So I think that's the biggest thing. Ask questions, don't be embarrassed, and don't be afraid to shop around. I always tell my clients, you know what, here's what I have. Please go look for something else. If they have something better, I will let you know. That way, at least you know you got the right fit for what you need.
Is it fair to ask, like, what is your banking philosophy? So, it's like, you talk to most people, it's like, oh, okay, I go there to deposit my paycheck and do withdrawals, but I think it's much more than that, right? So as a banker, if you're letting somebody know, we're here to be your partner, what does that mean exactly? What's a banking philosophy?
That's a good question. I think the big thing is each bank specializes in something different, right?
Okay.
We all have the same checking accounts, we all have savings, we all have CDs. That's a given. What makes everyone different is what do they specialize in. So my bank, First Security, specializes in community banking, so we do a lot of commercial real estate loans. We help with the nonprofits and small businesses. Consumer accounts, we do them. My bankers are capable, I'm capable. It's just that's not what our bread and butter is. We don't have 50,000 locations across the country, so we're not competing with people in terms of convenience of a branch being next door. What I can tell you though is when things are going well, it's easy to be comfortable in your banking. It's when things break down, when you have an issue, when your debit card stops working, when you have fraud on your account. Who are you calling? Do you know who to call? That's another thing. My clients call me, they text me, I let them know like, hey, I can't fix this right now, but I'm gonna get someone on it first thing in the morning. So I think that's the big difference, is there's an actual relationship where I get to know my clients, their families, about them, and they have access to me not only during business hours.
Okay, that makes sense. Then I want to touch on, you spoke before that, First Security Bank prides itself on being a local bank here. And let's say that I'm new to the area, and I'm going down the street, I need to find a bank.
Right.
Then I see Bank of America over here. Then I see Chase over here. These are obviously familiar names because they're nationwide.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so, but then I see First Security Bank down the street. If I had to make a decision, what would you say to me who just moved here as to why First Security Bank may be more beneficial to me as a local bank?
100%.
Yeah.
I think, well, the name has first in it. I think that should tell you.
Not to say that BOA or Chase is bad.
Absolutely.
But you know what I mean.
I think, Sam, if you walked into my bank, you would feel a difference in terms of just the atmosphere. I've hired staff to make sure they mirror my energy, the way I treat clients, and they know the expectation is to take care of every single person. Same, no matter if they have $1 million or $10, right?
Okay.
So we'd greet you. If you're looking to get an account or something, I'd probably have you sit down with me or my banker. One, I want to get to know what you're trying to do. If you're telling me, Michael, I have to make cash deposits every single day for my little coffee shop, I need change orders all the time, and I'm 15 miles away. I say, you know what, Sam, that's awesome. I want to support you. You're probably better off with something close by because your cash needs, and just kind of get that and know that I'm not just trying to open an account because I want to open an account. If the situation is different and it's something we can do, I'd say, yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what we do best. I can take care of you. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's my recommendations based on what we've spoken about. And that's how we do business with each person.
Awesome. Okay. And I'll put you on the spot a little bit.
Sure.
So in your previous history and career, can you think of a case where that stands out, where somebody was kind of in a predicament, and either how you or your team or First Security helped them out, and where are they today? Yeah.
Well,
maybe in a business sense too.
Yeah. So, I had a client. This one may not be more. It applies for how I treat businesses as well. So I had a client who I would always call him Mr. his last name. He hated it. It was a respect thing, but it became a running joke with us. And so every time I do it, he'd always tell me, hey, stop doing that. So we kind of go back and forth. He was a security contractor overseas. And he told me, like, sometimes I'm going to email you, Michael. Sometimes I might need something, but I wanted to build a relationship first. I said, awesome, no problem. I met his son, opened an account, met his wife, whole family experience. Well, one day when he was in Afghanistan, he emailed me all of a sudden and said, hey, Michael, I need to send this wire for $50,000. And I'm like, okay, no problem. What are you using the wire for? Just the standard stuff because we need to record it. And he told me it was for textiles. And I thought, well, that's weird. He doesn't do any textiles. And so I started asking him some other questions like, hey, do you know this person? What's the plan here? Because I'm thinking this feels off. And he told me and gave me the whole thing. And I said, okay. And I called him, okay, thanks for your help. I'll be in touch soon, Mr. XYZ. And he wrote back, he said, oh, thank you so much, Michael. I knew right there, I said, this isn't my guy. There's no way. Because he takes every opportunity to take a jab at me for that because I do it back to him. And so knowing that that's how my customer interaction works from our relationship, I called his wife, called his kid. Come to find out, he had left a computer terminal with his email logged in. And whoever took it, looked at it, went into his emails, contacted his attorney, his accountant, myself, and one other professional. All other three of them gave him whatever they wanted. I was the only one that caught it, but that was only because him and I had that relationship. And I think I carry that with every client I do. Now, obviously not to that extent because it would be impossible, but there is a certain amount of rapport I try to build with each one so they understand that I am here to help them.
That's great. To any aspiring, young person or, we're Korean Association. And so those in our AA and HPI community, as a young person, maybe they just graduated college, they have their whole life and sort of career ahead of them. And then what words of encouragement could you give to them if they're considering a career in banking? And does that still kind of look bright for the future?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And why so? Yeah.
I think you're absolutely correct. With AI and all those kind of things, automating technology, you can't...
That's what I was getting at.
You can't automate person-to-person interaction. Well, you can, it's very phony, right? You can tell when AI chatbot's talking to you. You can't replace the human experience. And I think if you're a young person, regardless of your profession, I think organizations like SAM's and other chambers and other networking organizations are great places to connect with because they're going to get you with leaders like Sam and other people that can get you to the right spots. Maybe they can help guide you in the right direction. The other adage, I know I feel like an old man here talking about this, but it's not what you know, it's who you know. It rings
true.
Yep, it rings more and more true the older I get. And so that would be my advice. Whatever career you pick, make sure you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, more successful than you.
Well said. Well said. So I was going to ask also, now, okay, so without getting too much into the weeds here, we all know that costs are rising, okay, particularly here in our area here in Western Washington. And I love it here. I lived in 10 different states, and this is by far still the best place to live. And so, but at the same time, it's not very easy for many with the rising cost of living. And so I'm sure that you experience or come across this as well, and you yourself as a consumer, right? And so as a banking institution, how can you sort of give encouragement to our folks to say that, lean on us as a partner, and we're going through the same thing too. Yeah.
That's excellent question. Everyone's feeling it. Doesn't matter how wealthy you are or what economic bracket you're in. I think the biggest thing is to use your resources. My bank in particular, we do have different resources for you in terms of we do classes. In fact, yesterday I just was at the Waterfront Center doing a fraud and cybersecurity seminar to try to teach what to look for in terms of the scam types as well as on the IT side of things. I had my IT manager there. So look for those kind of opportunities to kind of learn what's going on in the world, stay aware of things, and then financial literacy is important. I think even as bankers, sometimes we lose sight of that because we see these things all the time, but we forget that not everyone knows these things, right? And so if you've never had the experience of learning how to balance your checkbook, what a checkbook is, or any of those kind of things, you may be losing money and spending more on things that you could get for less for the same service. Just like with anything, when you shop around for food or a car or appliances, you really should be shopping for your banking products because there's different levels of it and different costs involved.
Okay, great. Thank you again, Michael. And finally, is there any type of like kind of promotions going on at First Security Bank
Yeah.
that maybe you want to touch upon, whether it be for a small business side or lending or whatever it may be?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
We're usually running some kind of special. Every bank runs specials. We typically are top of the market in terms of CDs. So if you're looking for a time deposit product, we have excellent rates on those. When it comes to small business, I would encourage you to reach out to myself or any of my counterparts that are local, just kind of a sit down to kind of see what we can provide. Every business is different in terms of what their needs are, and we like to try to put something together to make it make sense for the right fit. And honestly, if we're not the right fit, we'll let you know. And that's one thing I think all my clients understand is I'm never going to push anything on them. I'm going to take what they give me and give them my recommendation based on my experience.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much, Michael,
Thanks, brother.
for joining us.
Yep, appreciate you.
And we'd love to invite you to, we have the seminar space over there. Please come and give a fraud seminar, and yeah, anytime.
You shoot me an email when you want it. I'll get my IT guy to come down with me. We'll do the whole shebang.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You guys heard that, right? Next video is a fraud interview.
That's right. How to prevent fraud.
How to prevent fraud, not how to do fraud.
Exactly.
Okay.